Hey everyone. Hello. That was a crazy beginning today. I've got a treat for you. We will do some readings at the end, as I always do, but we are going to be talking about Trump and the US astrological chart. This is a really big deal because I believe it's a 250-year-old chart that started in 1776. That's the US. It is a Pluto return that's been going on for 2 years now, and there's some significant action going on in President Trump's chart as well. I'm going to talk to you about how we are losing faith, how we are losing trust, how we have there's loss of humanity and loss of power. And I'm going to tell you what it's not about. And I think that's what's really important as well. I really welcome your comments. I'm your Canadian astrologer. I do sidereal astrology. This is not Western astrology because I will be putting up their charts here, the US and Trump's chart. And if you're into Western astrology, you'll look at it and go, what's wrong with that? That's not what his sun sign's in. So I'm going to tell you right off the hop, I'm sidereal astrology. So if you're coming in late, you may not recognize what that's all about. We did Canada, we did Carney, and we did Canada's chart yesterday, and that is on December 10th. So if you're interested in what happened there, you're going to hightail it back to my YouTube channel, and you're going to take a look at Trump, at Carney's and Canadians chart. And I think you'll be rather astonished. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about what's going on with the not the political arena, but the financial, the financial environment is what we're going to be looking at tomorrow. What is in store for 2026 financially, and that includes real estate and what I'm seeing for April, June, and August of 2026. So the first thing, Michelle wants to know if she's going to find love soon. I'm going to give you a little bit of a lesson on that, Michelle. 76. Knowing your time of birth can be helpful. And I will, if you can hang in there, I'll let you know what that's all about soon as I finish with talking about the astrological chart of the US and Trump. Now, the first thing I want everyone to know about love is there are only three places that you can be in love. There's only three. There are only three existence of love. And this is going to be it's going to be on YouTube. Michelle, you're not going to see the replay here on TikTok, but you will see the replay on YouTube. So if you want to go back, skip ahead and find your reading at the time in case you can't stick around. Now, there's only three places that we can be when it comes to love. That is, you are in waiting. So you are going in and out of relationships throughout your entire life, beginnings, the middle, and the endings over and over and over again. Okay, you might go through one giant relationship that's 10, 15 plus years, or you may be in several relationships, and that is you're in waiting. You're waiting while you're navigating through challenging relationships. You can be alone, which means you've completely given up on relationships. You are not waiting. You are not willing. You're just done, and you're destined to be alone, or you've chosen to be alone. A lot of people do that on purpose, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Or you're in a relationship for the rest of your life. Whether you met them when you were 15, 25, or 45, you are in a relationship for the next 60 to 30 years, right? Hi, CRB. And that's a long time to be with somebody. If you meet somebody when you're 25 and you want that to be the person, then most likely you're going to spend the next 70 years, up to 60 to 70 years with that one person. And if you meet them when you're 40, you can very easily spend the next 50 years with that one person. So we do have to be very careful. Who do we want to grow with? And you're going to alter yourself throughout those years. So the longer you're with somebody and the younger that you're with somebody, 60, 70 years ago, We probably lived to be about 40, 45. Okay. And it was over. Like my grandmother was 63. I can't even imagine that I would only live to be 63. And that was it. And her husband had already died like 5 or 6 years prior to that. I can't remember how old my grandpa was, but that was as long as they were wanting to live or they were living. And to boot, but they did meet when they were 18 years old. And I will tell you, my grandmother was a feisty one, but it was a tough freaking life she had with him. A really hard life. They went through 2 wars. They raised 8 children. They lost 2 children. He became an alcoholic and they lived in a tiny, tiny, tiny wartime home until she died. And this is the happily ever after we all want, right? So I really am astonished and not because my whole life I was looking for the one. I'm guilty of it as well. But I'm like, why? But I also want to grow and learn. And why do we not want to know when am I going to find my passion? When am I going to find my destiny? When am I going to find the meaning of life? Or why am I here? Or what's the reason for being me? But we think finding love is going to be the answer to everything, and it's not. What it will do, and I tell people this too, there's 3 things that will happen in this lifetime that will turn you inside out, upside down, and backwards to know thyself, to learn about yourself. There are 3 things you will experience. You will have parents, you will have a child or children, and or you will be with somebody for a long-term relationship. And I'm talking 10 years plus, plus, plus. Those 3 long-term relationships, because you're most likely with your parents long-term, most likely raising children long-term, or in a long-term relationships, they will challenge you to the ninth degree. They will challenge you, all relationships, all those long-term relationships will challenge you. Because not only that, you will change. You have to adjust yourself to be with somebody who's completely different than you are. Everyone will be, and you have to live with them day in and day out. And you have to live with yourself day in and day out while you're navigating through that relationship. But I digress. I will look at yours for September 3rd because I think everyone should have a relationship that turns them inside out and upside down and gets to learn who they really are. But let's have this relationship with Trump and the United States. I'm Canadian and passion, agree. What do you mean by passion? So why do some people have to wait for a long time to meet the right person? Because relationships have changed. That's a good question. Relationships have changed drastically. We now want relationships to complete us, to fulfill us. We want our needs. We're very selfish now. We want our needs to be met, and we want to be pleasured emotionally, intellectually, psychologically. We want that person to be our therapist, our best friend, the parent we never had, and we want to help them to help us with financial success. That's what we want in a relationship. Come on, be real, guys. That's what you want. No pressure, men out there, but that's what women are looking for. And you can call it passion. You can call it romance, which is still self-serving. I want them to make my heart throb. I want them to be intelligent. I want them to care about me. I want them to be a caring person. And when and if we have children, or if I already have children, I want them to care about them as well. Plus, be successful in a career, not have too much baggage because I got enough of my own. These are all the things we want. But when my grandmother was younger, when my mother even was younger, we were looking at only a few things. Right? We wanted to have an economic sustainability. So hopefully be with somebody who could farm land, who could hold a job, and who could or work in the fields, right? We were looking for someone that we could have children with that would also still go out and work so that we could raise children in a community. All the other things we expected from our community. We didn't expect our partner to give us all that. We wanted to be able to have a homestead with them as well. And that was it, right? We knew the man had a role and the woman had a role, and that was the end of that story. There was no trying to discover what your emotional roles were, that your husband needed to be your therapist and your psychologist, because we had girlfriends, we had friends, we had aunts, we had relatives, right? And if you're going to give me your birth date information, I'm not even going to consider that one, Peraz, until you tell me what your question is. Now, CRB says that before marriages was forced is a different time. There's no choice like now. I'm not sure what that means. Expectations have changed. The secret perhaps is unrealistic. It is unrealistic. So we're waiting for the right person. What is the right person? Okay. Now you're talking here to somebody who's been married 3 times. I have 1 child from my second marriage, and I've been with my third marriage who raised my child since she was 3 for 20 years, over 20 years. This 2026 will be 20 years of marriage. Now we're nomads. We sold our home 4 years ago. He's retired, early retirement, and I have been self-employed doing yours truly right here. And we own nothing and we're happy. We own nothing and we're happy. All those mortgages, all those interest rates accumulated and paid to the banks, just right. But we do have some money in the bank. How does this work? First of all, you want love and career. You have to put everything all in one line, darling. Okay. So I will do some readings in a bit, but first I'm going to be talking about Trump. I'm going to be talking about Trump's astrology and the U.S. astrology. And I don't want love and career. You got to give me a distinct question with everything added, because love and career is so freaking superficial, guys. It pisses me off. You all ask the same thing. Love and career, love and career, love and career. Give me a specific question. You're worth more than that. You got me for a very limited time, very short period of time. I got clients pay a couple $100 an hour for my, and they have questions. They know they're paying big bucks. They're going to ask me some specific questions. So ask me a specific question. Invest in yourself in this. So expectations have changed. I agree with you, SC. So let's take a look at Trump's chart. We're going to take a look at that right now. And this is, where is it? Here we go. Okay. So why isn't it showing? Add to the state. There we go. So I don't know why. So that the other one is the U.S. Trump, some U.S. Chart. So I'm not sure why that's not showing. So this is Trump's chart. I think I'm going to have to bring up the U.S. one. And this is really important to understand, because as the U.S. is going through a soul rebirth, and it has been for 2 years, around power and control. And this power and control, I've written down some notes about this. Now, this is his sidereal influence around 2026. And so let's talk about this is not in terms of election outcomes, but this is in terms of interacting with the 2026 energy. His sun is in Taurus, Rahu is ruling the chart, and there's a strong Mars and a strong influence from fixed signs. So if you take a look at that, during a Saturn in Pisces era, there's strong fixed sign personalities, often symbols of collective tension. Now, this is going to sound generic, but I'm going to detail this in a bit. There is going to be collective tension from other people in powers around the world. So at first, it's going to look like Trump is handshaking with everyone and getting along with all these different leaders in countries all around the world. And we will, and we're witnessing that and watching Trump apparently make all these agreements. But then there's going to be, do we love them? Do we love him, or do we dislike him? And that's the energy that's going on around the world. Suddenly, there's going to be powers that be that are going to publicly say, we no longer agree with what Trump's power. Now, I'm not against or for him. Okay, I follow no political agenda whatsoever. But what's happening is it represents some stability, but it also represents obstruction from others. So where you felt, one of them is Canada, and the other one I'm seeing is Saudi Arabia. I do feel that there's a strong handshake and that there's a level of power. Okay, we are going to work in collaboration with one another, but maybe I don't believe in what you're fighting for. And that's where I see Saudi Arabia say to Trump or the US, we don't agree with what you're fighting for, with the wars that you are participating in or sending weapons to. We would not do that. So therefore, we cannot back you up with the trillions of dollars that we've already promised you. And that's what's happened. Saudi Arabia gave the US trillions of dollars, and it had to do with weapons. There's going to be a heightened public attention, amplified polarization, strong visibility, and a karmic theme around communication, legal structures, and public narrative. He's going to be doing more interviews. He's going to have more media, and there's going to be more of a commentary around that and more ideological battles. He's actually going to be asked, I believe in June of 2026, to go on center stage in an interview with another world leader, and they're going to go head to head. I'm also seeing a round table. I'm not sure who's going to facilitate that, but there's going to be a huge podcaster that's going to facilitate a round table, one being Elon, one being Trump, about where let's put the battlefield on the table and let's discuss this in front of everyone in public. But then when you layer the US chart with Trump's chart, now there's literal confrontation, okay? And that is restructuring. So what's happening is, even though he's shaking hands with and creating a narrative with everyone in the world, he's going to start saying, no, there's going to be a cultural division. There's not going to be unity because I want it my way or the highway. There are leaders that are shaking hands behind the scenes throughout the entire world globally, and he doesn't want to be a part of that, and he's going to call them out. This is going to create some controversy because they're not going to believe him. They're going to think that he's bullshitting. And even all of those that are very highly educated, yeah, this is in 2026, kills. I will do, when will I get, I don't do permanent residencies for predictions at all. I will not do that. I get it asked all the time in Canada, and I won't predict it because there's way too much shit going on in Canada. And a lot of that's going to be, it's been on hold since last September, what's going on with the government and residency. And I'm not saying it's right at all. I'm just saying it's been on hold. The power versus resilience, tradition versus change, loyalty versus reform, and public voice versus institutional authority. The public will have no voice in this, say, because it's a game of risk and it's large, billionaire, trillionaire countries that are fighting for power, and Trump wants to be there. And he wants to have the United States to have economic power. It doesn't matter if they don't have trillions of dollars, right? Saudi Arabia has trillions of dollars. Dubai has trillions of dollars. What are the other really wealthy countries in the world? I don't know. But the very, very wealthy countries with the highest amount of resources, including minerals. And as I had said, the one handshake that's going to stand firm with Trump and the United States is with Saudi Arabia and maybe even Gaza. And there will be building of Trump buildings, Trump towers, Trump conference centers, but there's also going to be other American-based companies going to build these mega affluential, futuristic cities in the middle of freaking deserts where there was nothing there before. They're going to be building this, and even on the water. There is some proof that that's already happening, but they're overwhelmed by the infrastructure, and it's costing them too much money. So Trump's going to come in probably around April or May, and he's going to go, okay, we'll contribute to this. But again, you got to do it my way. But there's some structural karma going on here. And some of what he's going to be doing is going to be illegal according to other countries or jurisdictions in the world. They're going to come forward and go, this is illegal. This is also, there's an emotional polarization with node shifts, collective attention towards emotional reactions, tribal identity, and us versus them. You basically what it comes down to is they're going to feel like Trump kind of jumped ship in that he's doesn't care about the United States anymore. He just wants to focus on what's going on, how he can be rich with the richest people in the world. I'm going to see if I can get the US one here. Okay, I don't think I can. Okay, there we go. And friendship companionship for June 21, 1963. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Because what this is not about, it's not about government. It's not about big industries. It's not about billionaires and trillionaires. And it's not about power. It's about what do you want individually to run your world? How do you want to live your world? How do you want to live your life? What do you want surrounding your world? And this is the beginning of the Great Divide, and we can thank the United States for that. The Great Divide will force us to work on an individualistic level. They'll force us to figure things out on our own and not be dependent on larger institutions and large corporations. There are things I will tell you that I side with. I do 100% side with what Robert Kennedy is doing with the healthcare system. I hope it's true. I hope it's real that he's taken out, I think it's mercury out of the vaccines, that he's saying no more chemicals in foods, no more highly processed foods. There's 31 states that are saying no to chemtrails and chemicals being blasted out into the sky, whether that be pesticides or for, there's always reasons, right? Because they're insects, etc. Right. So at the end of the day, food is poison. Anything that's processed is poison. Even if you buy a chicken from frickin' Costco, you read the ingredients. There's 15 different chemicals on a frickin' chicken. But you just throw some all natural barbecue sauce on it and throw it in a rotisserie. That's it. It'll juice. It has its own oils. You don't need to put oils on it. Right? But no, we have to eat garbage, junk, poison. This should be illegal. So I really like that he's doing that as well. We are going to, at the end of the day, we have left with lab-grown meat. Yeah, we have lab-grown meat. We can have crickets. Although it's a delicacy. in actually where is it? Like Idaho and Iowa and places like that, like fried crickets. I remember when I was a kid, my dad came home from a trip and said, I tried chocolate covered ants. And I was like, what does that taste like? He said, crunchy. That was about it. So, hey, to each his own. What I don't like is whatever the agenda is behind it. I just want to grow my own food in my own backyard or buy it from my neighbor who does it for me, just like the good old days. Remember the agenda that we're in right now, guys? It's only like 60 years old, 60 or 70 years old. That's it. Prior to The 1930s, we had a completely different agenda. So 70, 80, 90 years old. Let's say 100. It's 100 years old. That's what I would say. The agenda, the government, the commercialization, the chemicals, the pharmaceuticals, it's been around since about 1900, maybe 1880. That agenda is not that old when you take a look at the entirety of humanity. So we're going to look at September 3rd, and we're going to look at doing a reading to see when she's going to find love in her life. So we're misery likes company. So come on board. I trust you. I've got a good relationship with my husband, but it didn't come without work. And that's what I'm going to say. We don't want to dedicate the work to relationships, which is maintenance. There's basic maintenance. One of the things that somebody asked us the other day, we went to an alpaca farm. It was my husband's day date. And the person was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, we do day dates like every Sunday, and we take turns. We're kidless now, we're empty nesters, so we take turns." So one Sunday, he chooses what we do and surprises me. And the next Sunday, I choose what I do and I surprise him. And this is maintenance. We read from a book, a page every single night. And that right now we're reading the Tao, right? It's a little tiny book and it's one little page and it's kind of riddles of meaning of life. And we read that. We work out 4 days a week with each other, and 2 days a week we do Tai Chi and meditation. And one day we're off, which is Sunday when we have a day date. And when I need my alone time, he leaves me alone. He does something, and I need a lot of alone time. And it took us a long time to get that schedule because life was happening. We were working, we were hating our jobs, we were stressed out, we were having bankruptcy, we were we had a lot of international students living with us. We were going through trials and tribulations around raising other people's children, which was very fun, but didn't come without its challenges. And yeah, along with other things that happen in life. Okay. Is that romantic to you guys? Do you think is that a romantic way of living? It's kind of life, right? Now we're living our best. We're best, but we're not focused on financial success, financial success, financial success, or jumping each other's bones every 5 minutes, right? And yeah, it's an interesting life now. Yeah. So it didn't come without it's connection. You gotta be friends. You have to have respect for each other, and you have to have the same value systems, which we basically do. And, uh, and honestly, I wouldn't even be with him anymore if he wasn't just basically a good guy. He was just a good guy. How could I there was many times I wanted to leave for my own reasons, my own fault, my own issues, but I kept saying, "How could I do it? He's a good guy. Like, what's wrong with me? It can't be him, it's gotta be me." Right? Although he did have some issues we worked through. I love that you both are talking of your own needs that could be shared with the other. Yeah, right. And so let's take a look at this is not going to be the year for you to fall in love. It's actually going to be quite difficult for the next year and a half. And I wish I could tell you differently. You've got Pluto hitting you, but you do have Taurus hitting you in a very positive way. And this is for September 3rd. And I hope you're listening. The challenge is going to be is you have to let go of your expectations and your need for self-improvement and your need for the other person to constantly improve. You have a lot of Virgo in your chart. This is sidereal astrology. I have it as well. And there's a tendency to be with a partner where we always want to fix them. We're always problem solving. There's always something they could be doing better, differently, and you're very self-critical. So there's a sensitivity that when they argue with you or debate with you, or they think that there's something they would like to do differently, that you take it personally and you get hurt by feeling that self criticism, right? And this is your past. You also need your freedom. You desire freedom, and you need somebody who's intellectually stimulating for you. So when you're looking for someone, you have to let go of that perfectionism. You do want someone who's well-groomed, who can take good care of themselves. So if you meet somebody and right away they're not well-groomed, you're turned off. And you might want to take a look at, is that can I work through it? So I do see you suddenly and unexpectedly in a relationship that starts off like a friendship in May and June of 2026. And the last 2 years have been very difficult for you in relationships. If you meet somebody in March, that might be the downfall of that relationship very quickly in May and June. If you hold off, because I think the relationship in March is not the one for you, then the friendship one turns into a relationship in March. And taking a look at not being such a perfectionist or having high expectations that that person fit a certain mold, then that relationship can sustain itself if you do the work, like I just mentioned. But November and December is going to be really tough, and January. So honestly, if I'm going to say, when are you going to be happy in love, whether you're with the same person or not, it's not going to be until February of 2027. If you don't even bother getting into a relationship, you don't want to work on being in a relationship, you don't want to go on the dating apps, you don't want to join groups and meet people through different types of groups, then you're looking at February of 2027 before you meet someone. Okay, so if you're looking, leggy, 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 tap, 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 leggy, 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 tap, 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 that's TikTok. I have no volume. Anyone else? Gross. Yes, he's doing good. Everyone else has said they could hear me all this time. I ended up in ER a couple of nights ago with blood pressure over 200. Let's test what happened. Lynn, I'm getting your thyroid and your adrenals. Okay, so give me your birth date information again. And I'm not a medical professional, but I can take a quick look at it. But I'm getting your thyroid and your adrenals. And the hospital itself, like, you were fine when you went home. The hospital itself stressed you out and it made your blood pressure shoot up. But I never take meds, but they gave me some May 657. Sadly, I'm on meds for that because when you have a thyroid condition, it challenges your adrenals and that challenges your blood pressure. But I'm working on bringing it down because I did go off of it successfully for 2.5 years. Oops. July 4. Okay, so let's take a look at you, see what we can look at. So right away, doing a scan, June 1st, anything for me? I need an exact question and your exact birth date. May 6th. May 6, 6, 6, 6, 57. We don't have a birth time, so I can't look at the 6th house of health. And yeah, it's your adrenals. Shows me right there, right off the hop, your adrenals. So you have to take a look at going on your adrenals. Get cortisol tests done. If you've got the money, askhollyhall.com is how you get a private reading. Thanks for asking me, Infinity. Askhollyhall.com. You can look at my profile on TikTok or YouTube, and you will see all my links there. I am booked up for this week, but maybe next week too. So, but take a look, see what I have. You can't test adrenals or cortisol with blood work. The thyroid has to be 4-panel, and you have to do it for 3 months in a row because it's like blood sugar. It goes up and down. You have to test it first thing in the morning and you have to test it before you eat food and not take any other medication. And you have to do it the full panel, T3, T4, free T3, free T4. Give us your date of birth and your time and your question all in one line. And I'll look at June 1st next. And there's someone, CS, I want to answer yours on YouTube. So there's the only way you can do is a Dutch test, dutchtest.com, literally. And that's the best one for your adrenal or your cortisol test. You do a urine one or you do a saliva one. It's a 24-hour test throughout the day. You do it yourself, and then you send it to them in the mail, and they'll give you details of whether your adrenals are off. But in the meantime, I would just no more coffee, no more caffeine in your chocolate. You've got a sensitivity to dairy, which will do it as well. And I really just think you went into a panic attack or an anxiety attack. But I'm not a medical professional. Please do your own due diligence. Do you get a lot of headaches? Because that's a sign there as well. Okay, so now I'm going to look at CS in my, thanks, I have no volume. Anyone else? Yeah, so it sounds like SC, you can hear me. She asked about June 21st. I'm getting headache, pain comes and goes. Yeah, that's your adrenals. Okay, so June 21st, 63. She just wants to know if she's going to have some kind of companionship or friendship or connection with somebody. You need to do your T3, T4, free T3, free T4. That's your thyroid test. And the cortisol and adrenals. And the doctor can't do that. You have to go online and find adrenal cortisol tests. They'll mail it to you. If you're in the States, it's Dutch test. Even if you're in Canada, dutchtest.ca, but they're very expensive. Sadly, I've done both. And my adrenals were whacked, and now they're back to normal. And that took a lot of work too to get it back to normal. We'll look at June 1st next. Now looking at June 21st, you lost a whole bunch of friendships. This is the problem. You lost a whole bunch of friendships all in 2024 and 2025 was a very difficult cycle, and it was a lot of miscommunication, and it was also just not agreeing on things. A huge around not agreeing, not having the same mindset. If that makes sense to you, you can let me know if that resonates with you. And that cycle was over. The last one was February, March, where you lost some really close friends, almost like a clan group of people. And when can you find friendship connections again? I would be looking at, oh my gosh, you went through that years before that too. You went through that in 2020 and 2021, and then you got a tiny break, and then again in 23, 24, and a tiny bit at the beginning of 25. Very challenging. Connection, friendships, family, that's going to be difficult to resurrect, to be honest with you. 2027 and 2028 is awesome time for friendships and connection. If we were looked as early as 2026, we're looking at 13. I'm not seeing anything highlighted in 2026 except for May. No, April, May. That seems to be through an organization that you work with. It might even be a work situation. that you connect with, almost like a new boss comes into town if you're working and there's a camaraderie and a friendship there, or it's you starting a business and that's where you're connecting with people. You moved away. Thanks. Yes. I hear you now. Close YouTube and opened it again. Okay. So so you moved away. That was intentional. You're moving away because you weren't comfortable. You haven't been comfortable where you were living for 5 years. Uh, so what is my purpose? See, this is a good question. This is a good question. You're always right on. Thank you, Lynn. AskHollyHall.com is where you can get a reading from me. We're going to take a look at these difficulties that it looks like, is it Lion is going through, and that's June 1st. We don't have a time of birth, and I think Wynn would like to ask some questions as well. And you're in exams right now, and it's very difficult because you're not doing what you want to do. Are you in nursing? Are you in a healthcare industry? Are you working in finances? Because that's what you should be doing. And if you're in the healthcare industry, or if you're in nursing, or if you're in anything to do with healthcare, anything to do with working children, anything to do with working with money and finances, land, then you're happy. Engineering, then you're doing it for the money, and that's it. You don't love it. Because you are focused on finances. You had a past life where you did well financially, and that's an expectation in this lifetime. And when you go for the almighty paycheck, you are lost, you are confused, you can't focus, and you're not doing it for what you really love to do. I want you to remember what you wanted to do when you were 8 or 9 years old. Ask your mom what you said to her that you want to do. You love cooking, you love working with the land, you love working with wood. I don't know what kind of engineering you're doing. But as far as I can see, you're not loving it. I don't know what time you were born. That would be really important because the moon is doing something right now that's challenging, and I could tell you when those challenges are over if I knew what time you were born. So go to askhollyhall.com, get a 33-minute, $33 15-minute reading. Give me as much more detail as you can, and I can nail it down. You're going to be frustrated because you're like, I just finished 4 or 5 years of schooling, and now I'm in exams, and you're telling me I'm doing the wrong thing, right? I know that's not going to make you too happy, but you can find it. You've got some really good positive stuff happening in your chart for 2027. And it doesn't matter the education that you had, you're going to have a very successful job then. So, taking a look at what's my purpose for June 14th. Now we're going to look at Rahu and Ketu, which is your north node and your south node. And this is going to tell me exactly what your purpose is and what the purpose is you're supposed to leave behind that no longer serves you from past lives. Again, we don't have a time of birth, but I can still look at that. Wow, you got a massive stellium. Holy crow, girl. Very successful in your career. You're going to get a financial reward in April and May. But you need to be, but it's right now you're lost, you're confused, and you need your freedom. You need your space. You need to be self-employed. You can't work for other people. That's what it comes down to. Your purpose in life is to not work for other people and to be in control of your life, to be in command of your life, to not make yourself small around other people, and to work for yourself. And then you have freedom. And then you're happy. You're a visionary. You make a great coach. And you will be very successful starting in April, May of 2023. So hopefully, oh my God, it froze. Okay, so you're going to go to my YouTube channel and you're going to re-listen to what I just said at around the 45-minute mark. Okay, around the 45-minute mark, you're going to go take a look. It'll be up in about 15 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. AskHollyHall.com. Life Pat 3 Self-Employed 2. Well, yeah, life path. So her life path is Capricorn. CRB, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So you want to take a look at working for yourself. Asha. Okay? That's what I said in a nutshell. Work for yourself. People with a lot of Sag and a lot of Capricorn in their chart, they need their freedom, they need their space, and they're here for the future. Your job doesn't even really exist right now, or your mission. You're here is also to develop your own philosophy and your own belief system that has nothing to do with all of the belief systems that are in power right now, Asha. Are you live every day or on only on weekends? This is not a weekend. This is a Thursday. So I am live Monday to Friday and not on the weekends. I'm not live on the weekends at all. So I'll be here tomorrow and we're going to see everyone and love you all. And thank you for showing up. Thank you, everybody on YouTube. This is going to be up so you can see the predictions then and take a look. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about what I said about Trump? What do you think what I said about the US? If you're American, where do you see that you want it to go? Thanks, Infinity. 22, and I love the number 22. Power number, right? CRB, power numbers are 33, 22, 11. You don't break those down in numerology. Namaste.